institutions are paying $100 per year. And this money is used during the events, like when they're organizing forums. And also up to now, ICA is contributing also when they are organizing forums. And what are now the activities or what this network has been doing so far? As I said, the network holds an annual forum every year in order to exchange on experiences on quality assurance practices, challenges in the institutions and councils, and also international practices. And each year, a theme is chosen depending on the need expressed by members, because in each, at the end of each event, we are getting views on which topics they would like to be presented on in the next forum. So that's how now we get topics to be presented on in the following event. And also in this network, during this event, there are paper presentations on the topic or theme that has been chosen. And so the forum is like 3 parts. The first part is about paper presentation. So the second part is the general assembly, where members meet and discuss issues of the network, and also if there are like elections or new members of the executive committee or other issues to consider, that's when they are being considered. And then part 3 of the network is where now the high level forum, those are the vice chancellors or deputy vice chancellors are meeting and also discuss on issue of quality assurance. Also they receive reports from part 1, that is when there were presentations, but also part 1, most of the time also you have a training depending also on the needs expressed by members of the network. So the forum is a platform for training of quality assurance practitioners on global trends in quality assurance and higher education management systems. The network also has helped the national chapter. So there were capacity building at national level. So they are helping the national quality assurance networks and forums when they have issues, when they need trainers, they get experts from the network. So what are now the future plans for the network? As I said, the network plans to be independent and functional, so to have a separate secretariat from ICA, but these will depend on the funds, availability of funds. So, so far also they are planning to have a center for training in higher education, and this will be a way of generating revenue for the network, but also this one of the sustainability strategy of the network to have trainings in higher education, different areas, quality assurance, pedagogy, andragogy, curriculum development, and so on. And this will help the network to be sustained in the long run. So what are now the suggestions or proposals to African Centers of Excellence on how to come up with their own networks? The first one, I would suggest that to have networks by priority areas. This will easy as they will be sharing common interests. For example, centers that are in agriculture can have a network in agriculture, another one in health industry, and so on and so forth. And also they should be legally constituted for easy implementation of their activities. They can be established maybe as an association or any other type, so that it can help them to function properly. Then once the networks are organized, they can now start having activities. They can, for example, organize forums, conferences in their specific areas. They can have also a journal where their publications, the publications in those sectors can appear. They can also have articles, and having this journal it would be good also to plan to have it as an indexed journal, where for purposes of promoting the network, but also to encourage researchers that are doing research in those different areas. Also, After having this network established, they can also think of having like website, because a website is a way also of marketing what they are doing, where they can be just publishing their activities, the research that are being done in their area. I forgot to mention that also the East African Quality Assurance Network has a website also where they publish some of the papers and also the activities that are being done at the national and regional level. And they can also consider having the exchange of staff and reviewers. So in the case maybe one institution or yes, one center would like to revise its curriculum to design the new curriculum, they would consider having the exchange of staff or exchange of reviewers that can help in curriculum design or curriculum development, but also when there's some maybe courses where they need lecturers to, this would be a good avenue, because when you're in the network, you really know, yeah, you know what other institutions are having and you don't have, you know, the staff that are available in other institutions. So in the case you need staff, it would be easy to directly contact your colleagues in the network. They can also be having joint research projects and consultancies. This can be easily done when you have the network, because as I said, you know each other and you know areas where University X is excelling and where University Y is also excelling. Another thing that can be considered can be joint postgraduate supervisions, where maybe postgraduate students in these centers of excellence can be jointly supervised by supervisors from different institutions. So I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Juru, for a very good presentation. I'm sure you still be having an opportunity to discuss about this network when you break into your respective sectors. So then when we'll come back to plenaries and we'll see what comes out of the discussion that we're going to have. So in this case, I'm going to invite the student from SACID to make her presentation. Gerard, if you're there. Janet George,
I am Janet.
Yeah, sure. Can you share your screen and start your presentation?
Yes, please.
Are you facing difficulties?
Yes, Prof. I'm trying to connect here.
To share.
To share, yes.
Can you show now your presentation? All right.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Janet George, a PhD student at SACID's African Center for Excellence at Sokoine University of Agriculture. And I would like to share my research progress with you which titled The Integration of Animal Health Surveillance Systems in Tanzania, a system thinking approach. And below it's me and the list of all my supervision team. And just for the introduction, health system, it's a coordinated system for data collection to analysis, interpretation, and dissemination of related data in a defined population, which helps us to make appropriate decision. And likely in animal health surveillance, this is a very critical component in disease control and prevention. However, this has been an evolving activity or component which needs to be backed up by scientific evidence and methodology. And apparently with the increase in disease transmission, the system can no longer operate in silos. And in that case, why I chose integration for my study, it's because of the prevailing challenges in animal health surveillance, especially in Tanzania, where it's very limited to various resources, collaboration, and laboratory capacity. Also, integration gives reasons to increase the disease threats, especially now we are talking of 75% of emerging disease are of zoonotic nature. And we have seen what's happening with COVID. Integration also has economic value, especially in cutting costs and increase the market competition. We also want to leverage on technology because we have mass of data, big data, we have digital tools that are out there, and we would like to leverage on them to make the system more efficient. And this is the conceptual framework of the system thinking approach, which I developed with one of my supervisors, Dr. Barbara Helsler, who she's a system thinking guru in this area at RVC. And the idea is that any system has to be thought as a whole or as a tree, as you can see, where we have inputs, we have enablers, strategies, and outcomes, and all these are interdependent and connected. So if you want to address the challenges in the system, you have to think of every component in that particular system. So we designed this to guide us through the research. And also specifically, the general objective was to develop a prototype which is cost effective of animal health surveillance system in Tanzania. But I started by looking, doing the situational analysis of the current systems just for stock taking to see what's out there in terms of surveillance and animal health information. Then I went to process evaluation of the current system to see how things are being done against the theory of change. Then I did the literature review, the systematic literature review, to see what are the kind of integration mechanisms which are out there globally in both animal and human health, and which will help to inform what is the most feasible integration strategy that I can opt. And then I moved to development of the prototype. And lastly is to demonstrate how this integration is actually cost effective and it helps to improve the efficiency of the system. So I use various research methods from key informants interview, document review, cross-sectional studies, non-participants observation, before moving into development of the prototype using Django framework and Python, and then cost effectiveness analysis by extracting various data from government documents and key informants interview. And these are some of the highlights of my research findings. As you can see, apparently this is the structure of animal health surveillance system in Tanzania, where we have hierarchy of reporting from the lower level. We have various sources of information all the way to the Ministry of Livestock. But also we have other components or other institutions that are feeding into the system through Director of Veterinary Services, who is a delegate to other international organizations like OIU, East African Community, AU, and SADC. Then from there also, through process evaluation, I learned that data flow and management of the existing surveillance system has a lot of challenges, and one of them is how data is being coordinated from the source to reach the DVS. In principle, DVS is custodian of all surveillance information, but so far some of the information are sitting in other institutions which are not directly linked to the DVS. This is what I gathered and I developed out of the data I collected, and this is one of my publication which was published this year. And in literature, systematic literature review, I learned that there are various integration mechanisms, which I grouped into four mechanisms: interconnectivity, interoperability, semantic consistency, and convergence. But in all of this, there are some challenges for each mechanism. And some of them include limited knowledge of surveillance procedures and case definition, low compliance, and limited awareness of the stakeholders who are working in the system on actually what's the standard case definition. And this review was also published last year in One Health Outlook. And what I was generally gathered from the systematic review and the process evaluation is that efficiency of integrated system is a function of supportive organizational structure, data management system, adequate resource, diagnostics, and clear standard operation procedure, and political willingness of stakeholders and as a country to move towards the integration. And this is the proposed prototype architecture for animal health surveillance system, where we are in collaboration with a programming team. We are developing a dashboard to display all data on the central repository by leveraging on the information system that's out there, the laboratory information system, the CLAB, the Empress I, which is fed by MI and the FAO, and digitization and integration of field data through field operation events detection and community-based events, which will be captured through AFIA data. But the foundation of this integration is Tanzania National Livestock Identification and Traceability System, which is like it generates the IDs for all animals that we make reference to them. And to conclude, I can say that the system integration is relatively new concept in health surveillance, especially in animal health, and more integration is more towards interoperability, where institutions are comfortable to interoperate their system rather than just sharing of information. But also the available data sources have great potential for improving animal surveillance system, because we have a lot of data sources out there that we can leverage on. And One Health, since we are all moving towards the One Health surveillance, it should go hand in hand with the strengthening of individual sectoral surveillance, and in this case, animal health surveillance system in Tanzania, so that we link the system with the One Health as a package, not as a disintegrated system. Coordination of stakeholders or participating institutions and other practitioners in animal health workers is very important, because this helps to reduce some of the barriers or institutional barriers which could be addressed easily through coordination. And lastly, we need to strengthen communication for both vertical and horizontal communication among veterinary practitioners. And these are some of the publications that some have been published, some are in preparation with regard to my research. And I would also like to acknowledge the institution that has contributed to my PhD, including World Bank, SACIDS Foundation, and ASEM, Sokoine University, Royal Veterinary College of University of London. Thank you very much. Since we are talking of Afya Data as a community-based surveillance tool, upon the discretion of the chairman, I would like also to play a 2-minute video, if time allows, about how we are going to make use of data from the community through Afya Data.
Is it going to be very quick? You still have to fumble around connecting. Is it ready? Can we see it now?
Yes, yes, please.
Go ahead, please.
Yes.
If we needed any reminding, the Ebola virus epidemic in West Africa and the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic have emphasized that national and global health security hinge on our ability to detect disease early at source. Zoologically, that is potentially zoonotic diseases in animals before infection of people, and geographically, that is at community level. As Africa bears probably the highest burden of infectious diseases against the background of a limited resource base, it is important that our strategy for early detection to trigger early response be One Health and community-based. The SACIDS Foundation for One Health has pioneered Afya Data as an open-source digital disease surveillance tool that eases the collection, analysis, documentation, and feedback of public and animal health events from community to national level, targeting public and animal health and the environment. Afya Data allows trained community members in remote areas to transmit health information to local surveillance systems. Information is then verified through testing and then acted upon. The tool can be customized based on different clients' needs, including language, surveillance, and data integration needs.
For the first time, I introduced Afya Data to our district. It's very important because we use it to inform other people about different diseases, which are mostly notifiable disease from animal to the human being. For example, anthrax, tuberculosis, TB.
A implementação desta plataforma Afya Data Moçambique traz uma grande valia, é uma mais-valia para o nosso país e esperamos, na verdade, que seja uma plataforma que vai inovar o processo de coleta de dados, tratamento de dados e assim podemos dar uma resposta mais rápida e cabal. Então a expectativa é muito grande e a Afya Data Moçambique certamente é um sucesso.
Early detection at community level leads to national and global health security.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are impressed by your work and congratulations for very good stuff that we're showing, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you stop sharing the screen? Now, colleagues, you can see our students are also working very well, just like us. Now, I want to invite Professor Arun to make his presentation on the MOU between the World Bank and DST from India.
Yeah, just to also quickly introduce him. He's a national coordinator for the Department of Science Technology from the Indian Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. And then he was the key for coordinating between the ACES and Indian Institute for creating a partnership under this MOU signed between the World Bank and the government of India. and he's from the Indian Institute of Technology in Rocky. Professor Kumar?
Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Sorry for a nice introduction. And I would like to just be quick on present you that what is going on about this MOU, which has been signed between World Bank and Indian Government Department of Science Technology for this. So I just like to share the screen, and then because through the screen we'll be able to see much better way. And so let me should this is starting slide. This yes. So this is strengthening regarding Africa Center of Excellence, a technical advisory meeting which is happening, and thank you very much for inviting us, and so that we could present it what's going on. And so this is where Government of India is, of course, very actively engaged with Africa on the different level, at the continent level itself. So, and we are very happy to learn that the ACs have been established and are under continuous of establishment at various in various countries of Africa, and in terms of strengthening of the capacity building through this knowledge connect. And this MOU has been signed sometime in March 2009, and then we had 1 or 2 members from each Africa Center of Excellence who are in this network. So there are 4 areas of this network, with the material science and renewable energy, the one. The second one is the water infrastructure and management environment. And the third one is the railway. And the fourth one is the informatics and ICT. So out of these 4 top the areas, the collaboration has been planned in terms of a couple of things like visit of faculty from the staff from ACE to the relevant Indian academic R&D institutions to enhance capacity for research and teaching. Similarly, for the PhD and master students from ACEs enrolled in selected programs to come to the identified selected academic and R&D institution for training and research. Similarly, faculty from Indian Academy or R&D institutions could be there for a few days, few weeks for the teaching or exploring the areas of collaborative research, workshops, and the development of some kind of sandwich postgrad programs wherever appropriate. Similarly, organizing the joint seminar and workshops, research and developing some research and innovative project between faculty of ACs and faculty of Indian academic institutions. And of course, some kind of virtual center can also be created in due course of time. So World Bank, DC is the one directly which right now, we have been invited by them. And the DST Government of India, Dr. Sulakshana Jain, who is assigned, is there, International Bilateral Cooperation Division. And from ACE, of course, we received the name of from Kenya earlier, Professor Kirop. And I mean, I'm right now representing that Indian institutions, which are 9 institutions working for this. So I'm coordinating at the national level here. So this is the meeting. Actually, this picture shows that the meeting took place in sometime in March 19, where the first workshop, joint workshop, happened, where all the ACs could participate in this. And then, this picture was taken that time. So these are the ACs who are working in this area, who are connected in this network. From material science, there are 4 ACs, one from Nigeria, the Kenya, and Uganda and Rwanda. Similarly, in the water infrastructure, Ghana, Ethiopia, Tanzania, and Burkina Faso. And here, in terms of Indian institutions, there are 3 institutions from India in material science: IIT Bombay, JNCSR in Bangalore, and Hyderabad. And similarly, in the railway, it's from Ethiopia in IIT Kharagpur and IIT Kanpur. And in informatics and ICT, the Senegal and the Rwanda, and then one from Nigeria, and then from IIT Madras and IIT Hyderabad. So that we can see there are 9 institutions, Indian institutions, and 12 center of excellence from Africa, representing 9 countries. So that was a collaboration starting with that. And as many of course you know, but those who are not aware about India, these institutions are located, we are located here, and we are relatively closer to Delhi. This is Delhi, then we have Delhi, and then Kanpur, Bombay, and then Bangalore, Hyderabad, Madras, and all that, their stations are there. So in terms of planned activities which we planned here, we planned earlier that 2 Indian faculty could visit, 2 or 1, and to all these 4 stations. Similarly, AC faculty India. So that kind of yearly budget we kept, that AC faculty could come to India, in these numbers. So similarly, master students could come here. Similarly, PhD students could come here, and every year for every theme, every area, one workshop or training program in India could be organized, and of course this could be organized even in Africa also. And so things have started. Here the faculty could visit for a month. AC PhD student or master student could visit for a 6 month, but PhD student can visit 2 times here. I mean 2 times in the entire program. And similarly, Indian faculty can visit for 2 weeks or so. Then one was short-term course for a few days, seminar and travel. So these are the things which are there. So in terms of what has happened, since in March 2019 onwards, the program started, and we started receiving the first students from July 2019. And then pandemic broke in March 2020. So you can see the physical travel for AC faculty to India happened. A couple of faculty from India, I mean from AC came to India, like for example, Hyderabad 1, Roorkee 5, Delhi 4, Madras 1, Hyderabad 2. Similarly, the master students came from ACs to India. Similarly, PhD students came. You can see a large number of PhD students came, 5, 3, 8, 9, 17, 27, 30 students came. But then this pandemic broke in March, and that becomes, I would say, it has been that is a quite difficult time, and we had to repatriate many of the AC visitors, whether the students or the faculty. And so because of the pandemic, because of international provision, travel could not visit. Most of our institutions are closed in terms of physical laboratory work. And so what we did in this pandemic time, we planned online activities which could be done on the webinar and online workshops. So we organized a couple of online workshops for where joint presentation by ICs as well as by Indian institutions. We did. I'll explain to that. Similarly, the guidance to the doctoral students, we also requested that those who want to have a guidance on the doctoral masters online, which is even for our own students, we do right now online guidance because physical meetings are not there happening since last March 2020. So this is where we also offer that. And these are some of the webinars or workshops happened during the pandemic time in December 20, where on the water infrastructure, the materials science, informatics, railway, there was one event took place where people from different institutions from Africa as well as India spoke, and these were very well attended. I would say that mostly 30 to 60 kind of attendance, which we expected between students of AC and between students of Indian institutions. They participated, and teachers, they participated in this event. So I would say that I also had a meeting with Dr. Ikwa Bentil, who is an education specialist, where we thought that we will be taking this matter. So I would request World Bank team leads to give a little bit push, because we expected that we will have more, we will have more meetings, at least online meetings, so that we can have a little bit review of a couple of things, which so that we can also come up on this here. And this is where our website, which is there, which speaks everything, would be hosted on your websites. When I say the Africa Associations of Universities, or these Eastern and Southern, Western, all, they can host it there. They can also, we can give you progress on theirs. We can also speak on any of the meetings. So these are things, but I request now to give that World Bank to give a push on this. So some of the issues which came up, I would like to highlight a bit here, because we did a couple of online meetings also with the ACE, that somehow we were getting some regarding the travel information, not in the time. So some initial problems some people face, both host institutions, as we were saying, similarly in some case, students which could be deputed. So they have been, instead of 6 months, they have been only asked to come 3 months. So a PhD student 3 months, when you have a, different culture, different food habits and different, so 3 months is a quite low period for a PhD student to make sufficient insight and a good, better. So we said that when the provision is for 6 months, why to reduce the time? So that also we advise ACs that next time you please don't depute the short time. Similarly, some of the students which were deputed, just by just registering them without doing them in their coursework, sometimes they have been sent without even assigning the guide. Until there is a supervisor at the ACE, he will not be able to cut much ice, until the topic is decided, so that you get the best from the Indian institutions only when you come little bit prepared in terms of topics, in terms of what area is being done. Similarly, these kind of things we have suggested, and see these points have come up, and we have mentioned to this thing. So communication wise, I would say that there was a bit difficulty in the beginning, especially Senegal's was a bit difficulty sometime. And yes, Burkina Faso has been quite difficult in terms of maybe the internal issues or whatever it is, but that has been a bit difficult. I would like to just say that what are the way forwards. So this will be my last slides. Let us pay a little more attention on this. And I would say that we don't know when this visit will take place. So physical contact, physical visits, physical work in the laboratory based, we do not know how long it will take. Maybe 6 months, maybe 1 year. God knows. Better it is, no doubt about it, but we don't know. So we need to continue on this webinar and online workshops on different topics. Online guidance which we have offered to the doctor and master students to ACE, I would suggest that please continue it. Please put up the proposal so that the right expert is faculty from Indian institution, right professor is attached to that student, and then they can get a lot of that proper guidance on this, so that physical presence, God knows when it happened, but this has an action from AC is awaited. And I would like to just say that World Bank leads should also a little bit hand holding, or they should also delegate one person as the main coordinator, so that communication flow is better between all these issues. Sometimes communication is you require a push on this. We can also give a brief update to this all associations websites and wherever you want, so that, and we need to strengthen this particular ACs IITs partnership. And at this stage, where network, we may meet every 2 months. So for a half an hour, 1 hour, we can also discuss what are the issues or which requires we look at. And of course our website which is dedicated here, this should be linked on that, so that you are better informed on this. So with this, I think I made my a quick presentation on this, and I request your observations, your queries or your questions, and whatever the issues comes to your mind, please do not hesitate, because I will be able to hopefully answer all of them. If not, then I will answer quickly. Thank you very much, and I stop sharing right now.
Thank you very much, Professor Arun. I invite SS to ask questions if you have any question to Professor Arun.
I wonder too if we can ask if any of the ACEs that has worked with this partnership, the Rwanda or the Tanzania ACEs, if you're present, if you could talk about the experience that you had as well, that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know who's here, Jonathan, I can't really tell.
I think Hans is here. Hans is here.
Also, PTRE is there.
PTRE, Rose is here, so they can share some. So we start with Rose. Rose, can you say something about the relationship you're having and what works well and what did not work well?
Actually, it was quite okay when we began, quite well. We did manage to send even our PhD student to do his research there for 6 months, and he completed successfully. And also, at the second time, we managed to link 2 students, and they had actually gone to India to begin their research work. Then, unfortunately, because of the pandemic, they could not finish the stay there, but it really worked quite well during the time of when there was no pandemic, and they could manage to visit the lab physically to do the experiments and this kind of work. But maybe now we might have to revisit to check if it's now going to mean we work online on other things like academic talks and everything. Thank you, and back to you, Jonathan.
Thank you very much. There's a question from Paul Gibson. He's asking whether there are any plans to include agriculture in the cooperation. Professor Arun.
No, I would like to say that right now there are 4 themes which have been, discussed and decided. But I would suggest that World Bank, when they discuss with the DST next week, I think we are discussing. So we'll take this up. We will take this point. Right now, I would say the commitment is for 4, but agriculture, as you said, I think India is, have a very large network of the agriculture science and universities. So this will maybe taken up by the World Bank in the next meeting, which is happening next week, by the way.
Oh, thank you very much. Hans and Tim, Wise Futures, you also sent a student, I remember. Do you have anything to say before I invite Professor Mark Remam?
Hi, Jonathan, this is Hans here. I hope you can hear me, all of you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hans, why don't you show your video also?
Okay, just a minute, just a second. I was sitting far away. I didn't use my laptop at the moment, so but this is myself. Wow, the lighting is very poor. That's why we are not showing the video. So, but I'm sure I appear darker than I'm normally. So yeah, so sharing experience. I think we had a very good collaboration with the Indian IIT under this arrangement. A number of our students have gone to Delhi and Rookie. We had three faculties that also ended up visiting. We only had issues with the COVID toward the end, but in general, there were issues that Arun has raised there, that the collaboration. I think for our cases, we addressed some of the issues of the supervision. We addressed the issues of collaboration and in co-supervision. Some of our students are now jointly being supervised by the Indian professors, and this is going on very well. It was a very positive, for me, it was a very positive arrangement, and our students benefited a lot from the visit to Delhi and Rookie. Of course, initially we had some challenges in how to connect with the Indian colleagues, especially students who have gone there. They have not had immediate contact with their supervisors, but this was solved. We didn't have any other problem. We have also had some challenges in that not directly most of the work that the students have done has turned into a product or a paper that has been jointly published, because I know as academicians, these are important. So overall for us as Wise Futures, this was very positive. Of course, I would have wished to also increase our student participation in the energy and material component, because Wise Futures is sustainable energy futures and water. So I think in the next phase, we might want to send students in that areas as well. Jonathan, I hope I've captured the question.
Yeah, thank you very much. You captured it all. Now I want to invite Professor Mark Remam. You had your hands up, I think. Yes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. Just a question. Where for thinking it doesn't necessarily demand an answer straight away, but I mean, because of the pandemic, And then because of what Gerard referred to yesterday, and I was looking for him in the list, I couldn't find him, but I'll speak on his behalf. We are getting an interest in, getting working relationship with the Indian institutions in our field of genomics, biotechnology, infectious disease, because of what we saw before of some genetic sharing, and then now, of course, what we are now sharing a common problem, COVID. So I don't know whether it's too late to have dialogue in this field, because I saw the list of institutions which are in the scheme. What I'm talking about is outside that list. Is that list closed? Is that is that idea too wide from from our joint health security? And we're also involved in other animal disease where there is global eradication, again, where we have shared interest. Mutual, we gain both in technology and science, but together we gain in our joint health security agenda.
Yes, Professor. I hope Professor Arun, you can say something. He's asking for.
No, I would like to say right now, because I said that these are the 4 areas which have been deliberated upon in 2017 and 18. 2016, 17, quite. I mean that. See, we need to have a kind of some guidelines. Some kind of areas, some kind of institutions, because these are the top institutions of India in terms of technology, which has been a technology was chosen in the 4 areas. But I just said that if any kind of more area is to be chosen, then this matter need to be decided or discussed among World Bank as well and to the DST of Government of India. Similarly, I also, when I had a meeting with the ICWA in Washington about 2 years back during my some, so that time also we said that you are now adding more institutions, in the same area, you have now added more institutions. So can those institutions can also be added? I would say that, I mean, this is also idea, because when you write an MOU, you have written all those things, but these can also be added. But then this has to be discussed by the World Bank and the Government of India. We are open, because these fellowships are available even today, because as you can say that we had a large number of fellowships, but still there were some, like some of the countries could not avail it. They could not avail it, and they, for reasons known to them. But I would say that this matter must be resolved or discussed by World Bank with the Government of India, which I think the meeting is happening tomorrow, next week. So I've taken this point, and I will discuss this point also.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Arun. There's another question from Felek from Ethiopia.
Yeah, thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, Felek, yes.
Yes, thank you, Prof. Actually, I joined late because I had class, but I have just a comment or question to Jonathan. So we have very good collaboration and exchange joint workshops with IIT Delhi and Roorkee. So thanks to Professor Arun Kumar for his excellent coordination. But unfortunately, our this has not been considered as DLI or DLR. Okay, so because on the ground that the centers have not signed any defined collaborative agreement with either DST or IIT. So I would like to hear from you on this aspect. Thank you very much.
My quick answer is you saw from the discussion, Professor Arun is not covering every sector. So we can't have a common DLI for this this kind of collaboration. But maybe Roberta may say something, but that is what I can easily say from now. And
yeah, I mean, we can, evaluate the student and staff exchange elements of these partnerships, even if it's not a programmatic systemic partnership. So it can benefit some of the indicators that are verified, even without an MOU that is specific between the institution and the institute in India. So if there is complexity that a specific ACE would like to take up on whether or not this is happening on a case-by-case basis, we can do that. There's no problem. We can evaluate that and then see if it meets the terms of the indicator. So thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that covers the question.
In fact, Jonathan, I just like to, Jonathan, let me make a mention also.
Okay.
You see, when you have a continued relationship with the same professor of Indian institutions, if you have a joint supervisor from Indian institution also, so that means the relationship will go for the entire period of his PhD, not only 6 months.
Yeah.
But that relationship can go, so they can go, the contribution not only come for 2 months, 6 months of during a stay, but if you have a joint supervisor, so many of the Asian ACEs have to rig up their system. There are rules, regulations, so that they should make a provision that the Indian professor becomes a joint supervisor for their master's thesis or PhD theses, so that you have a good input from them till the duration of the the degree. So that gives you much more input from them. So this is what we have mentioned. And also, before sending any students, little bit homework must be done, so that when the visitors come to the India, he does not spend time in searching here and there. So before he come there, he must be freezing. Oh, he is my supervisor. He is going to be guiding me during my period. So he should come well prepared. So that means enough time should be done before he comes here, because his time should not spend in searching a person, searching a subject like that. So these kind of 2 or 3 things which I would like to say. And I've been told by my colleagues from different institutions that some of your students have done very good job in terms of they have published the paper also, and like one master student got admission in some European or US universities and PhD after coming from there. So that kind of a good input is there, and this all depends upon its availability is here. It is the ACE should be able to, and also a very strong desire that you should develop joint research project, which could be funded by some external funding, internal funding, some kind of funding can be arranged, some internal funding can be arranged. So when they do it, relationship will go a long way, the input expertise will exchange, and many things will be resolved. Many things can come up very easily. So this was our thought on that, and our experience with us, our experience with this relationship. So this was my additional input which I just said there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think you made it very clear to members. Now, I want to ask Professor Mark Ramam to lower his hand if he's no longer interested. Oh. Yeah, thank you very much, Professor.
Well, that's better than kicking me out.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now we're going to have our breakout rooms. We have 4 rooms, one room for agriculture, another room for industry, and another room for health. And the applied statistics or statistics and education will be seated in one room. So I ask Charles to join the room for education, where you're going to discuss with your colleagues from innovative teaching and learning mathematics and sciences. So the rooms are open, and you just join the rooms and we move on. In your rooms, you'll select one person to be a focal person who will come and make presentation on plenaries. And you're given half an hour to do your discussion, and we expect you to be back after half an hour.
So which room is health?
Let me check.
Oh, can somebody send me there?
Okay, let me ask somebody to send me everybody to their.
Just send me to health.
Okay, just a moment.
Okay, noted. I'm sending Mark. Is it Mark who used to go to health?
And
Yeah.
Mark Remamo, exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of accept on your screen.
Thank you.
And can we, okay, I think we might have lost him already. Can we thank Professor Kumar for joining as well and for taking the time to update us on the status of the partnership? Thank you for taking the time late in your day in India, and we'll look forward to seeing you in our meeting next week. So thank you so much, Professor Kumar.
Thank you very much for inviting and sharing and learning the whole things. Thank you very much.
I'm really glad that we're re-engaging. It's time post-COVID to get back involved. So super that
Yes,
you could join. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I would also want to go to health, Martin Smunza. I can't see the link on my screen.
So Ben is going to help you move to the room.
Yes, noted.
Okay, thank you very much, Jonathan.
Accept on your screen.
Okay.
Bye. I can see the room. Sorry, good afternoon. The room for education is not having anybody. Is there anybody supposed to join education?
Can you move all those who are in applied statistics into education?
Excuse me, I wish to go there. Can you take me there, please?
Yeah, he's going to take you
Yes,
there.
please.
But you also take Dixon and the
Take me to industry. Kriamite. Industry.
Industry. Yes, kind of accept on your screen.
Take this Dixon to education. Okay.
4 minutes. I'm coming. Okay, I can see only 2 people now in education, and statistics, I have only 1.
Take statistics into education. They are combined. They are combined. So Charles.
I've combined them, but I don't see Charles in. Is it Charles Ruranga?
Charles Ruranga should be in the education group.
Yes, I'm still seeing him here. Let me move him.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those who can also click down on more and click rooms, you choose which room to join, as you're helping others also to move. Okay, the room is growing. Once you get a request on your screen to join the room, kindly do so.
Yeah.
Please take me to industry. Thank you. Charles. Please take me to industry. Thank you.
Excuse me. I was in the breakout room of education, and in that there were two more persons, but they also left out.
Oh, so
So
they
then I
disappeared.
came in the main room now. So which one I may join?
You still have to remain there because we bring people to your group because you are the only two people, two centers actually involved in that.
So kindly again take me there. Thank you.
Education.
We'll be waiting there. And how long we will be there? I think we are there only for about half an hour, isn't it?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Kindly take me again there.
You have not accepted it to join, eh?
I accepted, but I came back because there was no person. Then I thought that maybe it is wrong place I am.
So let me ask Ben to check because the two of you have not joined yet. Okay. Ben, please help Professor Lakan to join the education along with Charles.
Thank you.
All right.
Dr. Jonathan, still I'm in the main room. Excuse me. I wish to join the education room.
Ben, I see Professor Yadav is still in the main room. Could you send him to the education breakout room, please?
Yes, please. I am still in main room and I wish to go to education room. Thank you.
Ben, are you connected? Jonathan?
It looks like Ben is not connected. Let me see what to do. It looks, Professor Lakan, you are active in the education room. Are you sure you're not able to meet other people there?
Yeah, I think Ben just moved him. And even Professor Varanga.
He has not joined. He was assigned, but he has not joined. He has not accepted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but Lakan is active in the education room. I see him there. And he might be the chairperson along with Kaboko, because Kaboko is also there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Jonathan.
Yes, Professor. How are you?
Yeah, I think they are not going to stop.
I'm going to close their rooms.
Probably until they reach a consensus.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It is work in progress, so I'm sure they will be coming.
Yeah.
Ready, but at least they've started discussing.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
I'm going to automatically close them because I have the command. So.
We might have some spare time. I don't know, sorry if you're here, but I think there's some, not sure all of our World Bank specialists are going to be joining. So there might be some time in the schedule to keep them going a little longer if they want to keep talking.
Okay, so you give them a bonus of another 10 minutes?
Yeah, sure, exactly. I think that would be totally fine. If they're, I mean, I'm glad they're having an energetic conversation, so we have space for it.
Okay.
Thanks, Jonathan.
So I did cut our group short because I thought we should join back. I don't know how I could get them back. Let me see.
Hello, Jonathan.
Yes, Professor, you're back. Eh?
Yeah, we are finished our group. That's the industry. We are finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm closing the rooms now, so everybody's supposed to be coming back.
All right. Okay. Thanks. That's what you wanted to confirm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, welcome back. I hope you had a very good discussion among yourselves, and we are now going to move to the next item of the agenda, which is to receive feedback from focal persons selected by the groups. And in this case, I want to start with first. I want to confirm whether all members of groups are back. Are you all back?
Group, we are back.
Automatically.
Yes, we are back.
Automatically. I just want to confirm.
And he's asking.
We are back, except you muted us, so you couldn't hear us.
Okay, welcome back. So we're going to start with the focal person from the smallest group, which is education and statistics. I hope Charles or Professor Laka, you have 10 minutes to make your presentation on how to build networks.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me share the screen. Do you see?
Yes, I've seen your screen.
Okay, thank you very much. In our group, we discussed the collaboration in our group of education and statistics. We were 3 team members, myself, Lakhani Yadav, then Dr. Charles Ruranga, and Irene Waweru. So we deliberated that how to develop an academic network. So in that case, we discussed that when we want to develop the academic network, we thought the network in a broader sense, that where different type of collaborations, the trainings and so on can happen. Then in that case, we deliberated that we need to identify institutions for the multi-organizational collaborations or partnerships. And after identifying institutions, considering our areas in which we are working, so then we can decide the areas of collaboration. So areas of collaboration may be 2, maybe 3, maybe many. So what areas of collaboration related to the academic network, particularly related to the African Centers of Excellence and our activities, then we deliberated in detail, and then we found that these areas of collaboration may be of interest for African Centers of Excellence, and then some other regional institutions, and even in the network there can be some international institutions as well. At the same time, in the institutions there can be more than one ACE, in the collaboration. So areas of collaboration, joint postgraduate supervision. So in that case, we can have the PhD supervision where we need more than one supervisor. Sometimes some persons may come from the network to supervise the master's students as well. We can think about the training of the faculty members and students. So that can be done in two ways. That training can be organized using this academic network for a particular need of the particular ACE, for example, or the ACE can arrange the training in collaboration with the academic network at some other organization which is in the network. So it can be done in various ways. The training areas can be research methodology, academic writing, and then some other areas of interest where expertization is needed in a particular area. So trainings can be arranged in those areas as well. Then we thought about the collaborative research. In the collaborative research, there can be some research work which can lead to the publications in some scientific journals. The research can lead to the policy briefs also, either related to some particular country where the academic network can also contribute, or it can be for the region. So that type of thing can also be possible. Then we thought about the joint projects also, where the multi-organizational joint projects can be submitted to some funding agencies. In that, it may be related to the research project. It can be, we can write the grant proposal together in the network. Either the whole network may participate, or from the network some organizations can participate, depending upon the, you can say, need and then the expertization. Exchange programs can also be arranged where there can be the exchanges for faculty and students. Then we thought about the community engagement also, that where the academic network can be used to organize some joint community engagement in different places from where the different organizations are coming from in the network. Then for the implementation of those collaboration, we need to think about the modalities of the collaboration. In that case, we need to think about the sharing of the cost, that for which activity, what cost will be shared by each partnering institution. Then action plans should be well defined with timeline, and then the persons who are responsible and so on. So these things we thought that when we develop any academic network, then those areas we need to think about. If there are some questions, I think we may address, or we will be happy to listen the inputs from the whole group. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Over to you, Dr.
Sir Lakan. This is a very good summary from the group. Do you see yourself having a network soon?
Excuse me?
Do you envision to have a network soon among yourselves, as you discussed?
Yeah, you see, we did some joint, you can say, organizational collaboration, where we worked to submit some proposals. So we were here also, the ideas which are presented, we were thinking using our experience, but I think more inputs may come from the other participants, but we were basing on our experiences, myself and then my other colleagues also. Some we worked on to submit some proposal, for example.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Lakan and Charles, for a very good presentation. Now I invite the health group.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, health group, please. The focal person from that group should come and make a presentation.
Okay. The health group, because cut it short, not realizing we could take a bit of time, but we had enough discussion. In the health we have 5 ACEs. 2 of the ACEs work on primarily on One Health. 1 is related to public health, and 2 ACEs related to product development. And what seemed cross-cutting in this is One Health team. We discussed the One Health team maybe a little too broad to have concrete meaning. So and anyway, we will take this discussion forward. But there are many commonalities which make networking attractive. For example, in the area of epidemiology and public health, most of the ACEs have interest because this is basic for what we do. There is interest in diagnostics and vaccines from the One Health plus the product development team. There is interest in traditional medicine, antimicrobial resistance, antiviral therapy. So, as I alluded to, there is a very clear interest in the idea of networking. But the consensus was to have another virtual meeting to explore this further, mainly to understand the areas of common interest and to develop the opportunities. Can you hear me, Jonathan? I'm not sure. Everything looks
Yeah, I hear you very well, Professor. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we will do that in the next months or so. For now, the specific areas where we thought the networking could be meaningful. First, in the area of education. So student exchange and faculty exchange would be very useful. And the other area is skills-based short courses. And because clinical trials tend to be a common path for product development, trainings in the area of clinical trials may also be of interest. The other area we discussed that may be of interest is the area of research. And there's interest in developing antimicrobial resistance research area, especially because alternative treatments could be developed through traditional medicine. And there's a clear and strong interest from the One Health groups in this regard. And then we didn't really reach a consensus, but potentially regional students may be able to do their research projects back home within the centers of excellence supported. This is possible because health research is maybe more meaningful to do them in their own home country. And then the third area of interest we discussed about was the area of having conferences from time to time. We will explore in our virtual discussion the area of journals and joint publications, international partnerships, and potentially networks like the India network and other networks we'll explore. I don't know if my our group has any additional comment. I think they may. Would that be possible, Jonathan, if there's anyone?
Yeah, sure.
If I have missed anything.
Yeah, the group is free to contribute if they don't make anything.
Thank you very much.
You've been very well represented, and we look forward to his convening us in the next few weeks.
Yeah, because I had a question, who is going to be your convener? So I know that Professor CDT Africa will be convening these meetings.
Yes.
Okay. So if there's no other comment from the group, I thank you very much for thinking about the network and also planning ahead that you're going to meet virtually and eventually you're going to start something concrete, which I think is the best way to go. Now I invite the other group. The group that follows is what is this again? Let me check here. The next group is agriculture, Sesam and colleagues. You have 10 minutes to make your presentation.
Okay, I've been designated to report, and most of the areas of cooperation have been already identified by the previous two speakers. So I'd like to focus on some cross-cutting concerns. And the one that stood out the most strongly was this issue of double counting being excluded. And we've raised this issue before, but we really need a resolution because across, sorry, I didn't screen share yet. Okay, let me do that. Across several meetings, we've raised this issue, but we've never gotten it resolved. And the point of the ACEs is really to advance quality. And so beyond the courses, many of our students gain in quality from participating in exchanges, participating in short courses. But once they're counted once, the policy right now is that they can't be counted again. And that is really contrary to the whole idea of developing quality. So we'd really like to bring this up with IUCEA and World Bank so that hopefully we can get this changed. And this has been a major concern across quite a number, if not all of the ACEs. Then some areas of just clarification, especially online. If two or more ACEs jointly develop and host courses in areas of mutual interest, we feel that each contributing ACE should get credit on the DLR credits because each one has developed part of the short course, and yet joining together is a more effective way of getting the benefit of the strengths of various individuals and ACEs. Then just another issue of clarification. We were told that online exchanges could qualify, short courses online could qualify, but we've not seen any definitive criteria to know what criteria apply and what evidences we need to get it to create or to count. Then possible follow-up, we didn't have anyone who volunteered to be a convener, but we're hoping that one ACE would be willing to create a web page for an agricultural ACE community of practice, which would be a forum for communication, and further cooperation could be organized from that. And then we wanted to consider an agricultural ACE alumni association. Marcy has an alumni association now with more than 170 participants, but I know others have also created some sort of alumni association, but there was thought that a joint one could also be useful. And then there was suggestion that the joint platform for approaching regional businesses for PPP development, because local businesses are not very much prepared to share in product development and joint efforts. But regional businesses across multiple countries are much more in a position to do that. So if the ACEs in agriculture, for example, could create some sort of joint platform to approach regional businesses, that would be helpful. And then, as mentioned before, possible joint conference involving ag ACEs. So those are really the take-home points that might not have been already emphasized in other presentations.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm glad you did not want to repeat what others have said. Maybe one comment for virtual exchanges and the online courses.
Okay, sorry, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to just emphasize one.
Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to just emphasize 2 points to really drive them home. Number one, is it very clear that online collaboration is taken on board? We are still not very clear, number one. Two, when a student or a staff member is collaborating with an external agency, one agency, and then the same staff member is collaborating with another agency within the ACE and with a third agency, but on different issues, will these 3 different collaborative efforts be counted? It's still not clear. And then when we have a student who has done one course on development, then the same student does a course on statistics. All these are building up to their strength in developing the thesis and to becoming professional. We were told this week that these are not counted. I know that's what Technopolis was told by World Bank. This is defeating the purpose of developing a person from one stage to the next. It needs to be resolved. Those are the comments that I have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. You actually emphasize what was presented by Paul. Yeah? Roberta, can you say something before I make my own comment?
Sure, and I'll ask Huma to come in. She has a better grasp on the DLI issues. But on the issue of virtual platforms, we've been saying this on the one-on-one. This is one of the issues that I would bring up when I summarize the conversations we've had in the one-on-one so far. But we are open, of course, to looking at validating the international elements of the virtual opportunities that have taken place during COVID and in the future. I mean, none of us want to ignore the innovations that have taken place in the last year, 15 months or so. So issues like student and faculty exchanges, the collaborative programmatic development, things like that, that can be measured against the DLIs. All we need to do, and we'll do this in concert with all of you, is come up with ways to ensure that these are still meeting the criteria of what we expect from a legitimate exchange. So it wouldn't be, a 2-day conference. It wouldn't be a one-off workshop. It would have to be a sustained, committed relationship, but that could be virtual, and that's something that we would need to measure together. So to clarify that one point, we are absolutely looking to validate those as legitimate international experiences. But maybe Huma, you could come in on some of the other points.
Thanks, Roberta. Yes, just on this last point, absolutely. We're looking at ways in which we could standardize how we measure online exchanges, etc. So we apply the same standards to all of the ACEs across the 8 countries and the 24 centers. So it's just an exercise in doing that, because this is an adjustment. This is not something we had envisaged at project appraisal. So this is something that is new for us, and we're trying to learn from the experience of the different ACEs. We know there have been submissions from various ACEs around this, but we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity equally to submit evidence on this, and then there's clarity on what would be accepted before you do. So that's something that's ongoing, and I think since we're learning as well. Thank you for bearing with us, and we should be able to come back to the ACEs with some standard definition of what is going to be acceptable. On the point of the double counting, we do know this has been raised several times, and the idea, one of the indicators under the results framework for the project as well is just the number of people who are benefiting as well. So although depth is important, as you've said, it's important to build sort of one professional through various avenues. I think what the case for our region specifically is that breadth is also critical. So we also need to increase the number of people who develop these skills in the region, these higher level skills, which are really lacking in our continent. So the idea is to increase the number of people that we invest in as well. And the project isn't meant to be all encompassing, right? It is expected to be supplemented by the universities, the centers themselves, and we expect the centers to invest in sort of the professionals that they're enrolling, that they're looking at providing these skills to. So it's just in that spirit, I think, and please let us know if your specific ACE is having an issue, because we're already seeing that we're coming up against the ceilings for a lot of these, right? Specifically for exchanges, etc., among publications and some other DLIs as well. So, a lot of ACEs we're seeing are not struggling with reaching these targets. In fact, we have a longer duration for the project now. So we have added a year to implementation. So you have even more time. And if we utilize all of the, or if we disperse all of the funds up front, then, for the outer years, it would be a challenge we foresee for some of the ACEs. So in that sort of sense or spirit, if there are particular ACEs that are just not able to meet their targets because of this rule, please get in touch with us, and we can perhaps have this one-on-one conversation to see how you can be supported. But the idea of breadth is also important in terms of being able to get the numbers that are supported under the project as well. Let me stop there.
Thank you very much, Uma.
I'll make a small comment. I think perhaps when we come to the revision, I think you might wish to re-examine this, because see, in my own ignorance, the impression I get for PhD students here, it seems to be around coursework. You've gone there 2 months, you've done the course, tick. But what concerns us most is how often you interact with the supervisor. We have, for example, since us, we have also both in Tanzania and in Zambia, we have what we call a student logbook. The student logs how often he or she interacts with a supervisor. And that goes beyond the physical moment when she spent a month or 2 months. It goes right through. But this business of accounting, like if it's PhD is only coursework, it doesn't really account for excellence in research. But that's something perhaps to look at. Not, you can't change it now, mystery. But as we move into the next stage, that's something that perhaps you could bear in mind.
May I join in here?
Yeah. Yes, your hand. Yes, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. Regarding the counting of beneficiaries, all that takes is a unique individual identifier that was suggested more than 2 years ago that be added to the information being generated. And then you can have a separate count of the number of beneficiaries, and you can also still count each of the short course participation or exchange participation. And exchanges and short courses are not easy to reach those targets, especially not in the COVID area. But still, the natural exchanges occur with our PhD students. Now masters are included, but still to reach those targets for some of our ACEs is very difficult. And the targets have been raised even. And it doesn't contribute to DLRs, even though it's a major contributor to the quality of the graduates we produce. Regarding the virtual platforms, that's been discussed now for over a year. So I hope we can get clarification on what criteria qualify in a short period of time, because that affects our planning and our documentation. And we would hope that that could be clarified very quickly.
Jonathan, I'm going to come in here now just to kind of pull this all back together, because this conversation we were meant to be having now is about building academic networks. And Paul, you and your team, we can do this in a one-on-one so that we can dig deeper into the actual specific impacts that this is having on your ACE. But I think the gist of this is we are open to this conversation. We aren't going to say you have to have achieved X, Y, and Z for the virtual to count. We'll need to see what you've done and then evaluate those explicit experiences based on what they are, because we aren't prescriptive about a lot of these experiences. We trust your judgment in many of these faculty exchanges. Do you believe they are sufficient? Same with student exchanges. The conversation about the double and triple counting of students, I think at some point we're just going to have to agree to disagree on this point. The bank has been very clear about how we count and why we do it the way we do it. Huma just explained it again. I know this is something that you disagree with and that your center disagrees with, but most of the centers aren't having the same problem. So we'll have to dig in to see why the impacts for your center are as profound as you describe them. If there's ways that we can compensate in other areas so that you get the funds you need, we want to make sure you get the money you're entitled to, but we cannot change the terms of the project wholesale if it's only affecting certain spaces and how the centers are delivering. But we can do this conversation bilaterally in our one-on-one. So if we can turn back to the academic network conversation, Jonathan, because I know we have World Bank staff coming to talk about procurement and FM, et cetera, and then we can revert to these more technical center level conversations in our one-on-ones. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, Roberta. I think that concludes the discussion from this group. Let's move to the last group, which is the largest group, that is industry. The focal person for this group, please, you are most welcome. I hope you are going to share a screen if you have, or you're going to do it differently.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jonathan.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Yeah, may I call up? So the group was big. I'm the focal point, and when we met, we chose the rapporteur. The rapporteur is Rose. May I call Rose to make a presentation? We will come in wherever possible. So as a focal point, may I call Rose to make a presentation?
So Rose, please, you're welcome.
Are you seeing anything?
Yes, I've seen your slides. There are quite many, I think.
No, there are not many. So thank you, Jonathan. Our center was mainly on the S. Our meeting was for the S industries, and we approached the building academic networks on two approaches. First, we said we need to enhance the working relationship ourselves with the industries. Then secondly, we went to try and focus on how we can enhance the working relationships between ourselves as SS that are focusing on industry. On the mechanisms of improving working relationship jointly with industries, our members agreed that first within our own countries, we need to organize for industrial days, whereby we bring the industries to the universities and share with them our vision so that they can assist us, by picking ideas that we need to be commercialized. Then also we need to enhance the working relationship with industries by continuing to enhance that exchange with the industries and also vice versa from the industry to the university. We also continued saying that to enhance industry versus university networks, we can do this by also continuing to strengthen our curriculums by ensuring that while we develop curriculums, we invite the industry members to assist us in developing, offering these curriculums, and also organizing other initiatives like short courses. Then we say that also we can enhance the working relationships with industries by co-teaching together with them when we have technical issues in our curriculum. Ideally, also, we said we can enhance this by joint grant writing together with industries themselves, and that when we have industry partners in our grant writing, then we can enhance the chances of getting this course go through. Also, we say that when we are doing research within the centers, we need to ensure that the research being undertaken at the center are focusing on ideas from industry. And key in ensuring that we have good working relationship with industries is the aspect of keeping an open communication channel in the university and the centers and the industry, so that they are not waiting for the only meeting organized maybe after around 6 months, but frequently. And we had one good example whereby in the case of Mozambique, open days have been used to bring industries on board to campuses. And at the same time, researchers have been presenting their ideas to this industry, and they've been able to assist them in picking up some ideas. Then also from Mozambique, they say they've been able to use this idea, particularly where it is very important. We need the aspect of industry in setting the minimum acceptable standards for curriculums that, focus on students who will be taking up career in industry, and particularly that this initiative of industry working in the curriculum development and setting standard can enhance the employability of students in future. So those are some of the key things that we talk about. Then we say that for the industry to gain confidence in academic programs is through involving them. And this involvement can also through accreditation. Also, we went further and tried to look on how particularly ourselves we can work together as industry and industry cases. And lots of these ideas are almost similar to what the others have been mentioning. One of them is by conducting joint activities between the SS that focus on industries, and most particularly that we should not focus mainly on partnerships that involve a lot of monetary incentives alone, but we can work on things like sharing of equipment, joint supervisions, or even sharing expertise to teach in the industry courses within our SS. Then another thing we said is that the mechanisms, have already been established by the World Bank between our SS. What we just need to look at is to, strengthen these common activities and contacts in the centers. And therefore, we propose that we establish a working framework where we have a chair and a secretary from the centers. And then we say that for this to work very well, because we've been meeting all the time during the technical meetings and we are not enhancing it, afterwards, we need to ensure that each center establishes targets that they need to meet by these joint activities. And we have indicators that are measurable that we will be, measuring our working relationships together. For example, how many joint number of workshops we will have together. So we will have a monitoring and evaluation plans for us. Then on the way forward, we also said on the way forward that we need to have frequent meetings as the industry SS. Then we draw a monitoring and evaluation plans among ourselves as industry SS, whereby we will set these targets and which are needed to be measurable. Then we have also the centers to come up with a steering committee, which will have members from the industry areas, and we will choose the chair and the secretary and the other committee members. And the frequency of keeping, other industrial meetings can be once a quarter. So what we agreed is that to begin this meeting, the PTRE Center will organize for the virtual meeting, and then the other ASs can, we can come together and, design the working framework, the steering committee, and who will chair and go on. Thank you, Jonathan. That is all from our AS, and back to you.
Thank you very much, Rose. Professor Barry, do you have anything to add?
To thank our rapporteur. She has covered almost everything. Maybe what I can add is when she touched on co-teaching. So co-teaching also, we realized that there should be also what's called co-location. This is where we find that in industry, they can come in the university and build also a lab side by side. There can be a lab for the university. Also, an industry will put their lab, which they work in unison, almost on related scientific research and so forth. In that way, you are bringing the industry university linkages so vivid. Thank you, Jonathan.
I know, Professor Mbale, you're an expert in network formation, so I'm sure the group is going to benefit a lot from you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The rest of the group, do you have any comments before I close this discussion?
The industry group members, please.
Yeah. It looks like you.
It was well presented. Thank you very much, Dr. Rose, for the presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Kiramit, for supporting Rose to present so well. Roberta, do you have any comments before I close for this this particular section of the program?
Not at all. I think that was really a great dynamic dialogue on academic network development. So we're really grateful to all of you for taking the exercise seriously. We hope it turns into actions that continue over the course of the next months and years. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Roberta. And now I'm inviting you to go to the next section of the program, where you're going to present feedback from one-on-one session. And this will be shared between yourself and the HUMA.
Yes. Yeah, I will take it, but I wanted to see Sari and Malshri if the World Bank colleagues are on to do their sessions, because I can do mine later since this is part of my schedule for the rest of the day. Is anybody waiting to go on because we're a little bit delayed?
I see Anthony is connected.
So why don't we move to that, and I'll do the one-on-one summaries after. Malshri, why don't you introduce the session then?
Sure. Anthony is the procurement specialist from the World Bank, and he's going to present on the findings from the breakout sessions. Anthony, over to you. Anthony? You're on mute.
Ben, can you unmute him? Or Agnes, whoever's on, one of the hosts, maybe?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You have not come for the meeting.
Okay, Malshri, I will go and do my session. If you can try to work with Anthony to see what's happening with his computer, okay?
Sure, we'll do that.
Okay, thanks. Just so we don't waste time. Okay, so just to summarize what has happened, we have met with 10 centers so far in our one-on-ones, and those of you who either weren't able to make the session that you were assigned to earlier this week or would like to reschedule for any reason, please know that we're open to that. So we can do this next week. We have some of you already scheduled for next week, but we can add sessions as needed to catch up on anyone who maybe didn't make the session that they were assigned to earlier. I've made notes of about sort of 8 issues that have appeared across all of the discussions so far. One of them that has already emerged in the last conversation, which is this question about international exchanges for students and faculty and how we are going to verify options for virtual experiences there. This also came up with the question with internships as well, and other forms of requirements for degrees and other certifications for the project. As we noted, we are open to evaluating these exchanges in their virtual form because of the COVID situation. And so as we look at each of these specific issues, we're also going to come up with a standardized framework. But in the interim period, we'll look at case by case as much as we can. So stay tuned for that, but also depict what your experience has been like, including numbers, including the structures of those exchanges, so that the narrative that you provide is as thorough as possible. There was also a question about the international accreditation options. I saw Sohair and Technopolis really went into detail about the options outside of the standard international accreditation agency option. She had a slide that depicted the multiple options that were introduced during the restructuring of the project. We hope those of you who need some flexibility in the international accreditation or could benefit from this, look to the alternative structures that are available for achieving this DLR, so that we can credit your activities along this measurement. Another issue that emerged is about sustainability challenges that the centers are facing post World Bank funding. And this is an issue we're going to bring up with the Regional Steering Committee as well, because this has emerged in almost every single conversation we've had. So for the centers that existed as research centers before, without this funding, there's more, I think, reassurance that there will be continuity. But for several centers that were created for this project, there are concerns about institutionalization of their center, recognition at the university and at the ministry level. So we're going to work with the RSC and help your institutions work with your national steering committees to try to rectify concerns about this and really get your centers anchored into the institutions more permanently, so that when the project closes, your center has continuity. There were questions about fieldwork, issues that were raised about fieldwork limitations and the capacity institutions are having to support their doctoral students in particular, due to extended timeframes for their degree programs. And we've asked that you just keep us posted on the numbers and the impact that those are having on your centers. At some point, if we need to, we could try to find additional financing if it's really hugely impacting. Right now, the numbers are small enough, and most of you are finding funds from your universities, which is the first line of action on these issues. But we want to keep an eye on the impact of COVID in particular, and see if there's some long-term ramifications that we might be able to support down the road. Most of the centers brought up issues of short course verifications during COVID. I think we were having challenges with the short course verifications anyway, and we've adjusted how that's done and how much has to be verified. But the issues of COVID and the students not having the same sort of electronic access as the longer term courses, doctoral and master's degree programs, we recognize that's the challenge. And so again, just keep us posted on how those numbers are impacting you. We know Technopolis too is very well aware of this and is working towards ensuring that they can do the best job they can resolving that. The benchmarking came up, the benchmarking initiative came up a lot. I hope that Jingwen's presentation helped clarify issues that you may have had, but if there are still lingering questions among you, raise those with us and we can pass those on. And then the last point that I would just like to make, and we've been making in all of the sessions as well, is that we really would like to highlight at the World Bank side through blogs or other forms of communication pieces, all the great works that you're doing, especially in the COVID climate. We have been writing blogs with several of you. We'd love to highlight more of what you're doing, how your students are faring, ways that you have responded as leaders in your countries and in your institutions. So we want to encourage you to reach out to us with stories and examples that we can highlight through World Bank communication mechanisms. So we know you're doing great things and we'd like to give them more prominence as much as we can. And I will stop there. I don't know if Huma, you had anything else you wanted to add to that list?
I think that was quite comprehensive, Roberta. Nothing else from the one-on-one discussions. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Huma. Back to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, thank you very much. If there's any follow-up question from SS on the summary that Roberta made, the floor is yours. If there's any follow-up question I want to make.
And we still have 14 more to go, so there may be more issues that come up next week.
Okay. Yeah, there's a question from, where is this question from? Let me check. From Sesam, Tim.
Jonathan, it's not a question. I just want to appreciate the one-on-one, and Roberta, that's a very good, we realize it's not something we have been doing before when we go for TAM. And we also realize it's a very good way of sharing, even with the World Bank and IUCA. So I'm just appreciating the one-on-one, the new normal you have created. Thank you.
Thanks, George. And we would do it all the time. Anytime you want to have a one-on-one with us, we would welcome the conversation. We don't want to appear that we're micromanaging, but we would love to have an active, ongoing conversation with you over time. So, you know, we'll do it with the TAMs, but we'd love to do it in the interim as well.
Thank you very much, George, for appreciating that the one-on-one session were very useful. I also participated in some of them, but they were really very useful to even me. Now we move to the next level of the program. Here I'm going to invite Josephine Okomana to give feedback from financial management and procurement sessions.
So Jonathan, Anthony is ready for the procurement, so he can go first.
Okay, go ahead, Anthony. Where are you? Are you ready to share your screen in the present?
No, there isn't much yet to present in terms of screen. I'll just present the highlights from the discussions that we had.
Can you show your video? We just want to see your face.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is Anthony Sendema from my country office, World Bank. I was with the team, I think, throughout the mission, highlighting procurement issues, challenges, and highlighting where we need to improve in order to make procurement more efficient and effective, and also achieve the DRRs as provided in the project appraisal document. So in summary, I think highlighting from all the institutions, we noted that they are at different levels in terms of implementation of activities and the attainment of the DRRs. Most of the institutions are able to meet the requirements under the two DRRs, submitting progress reports, also conducting procurement audits, which are being done in different ways. Others are using external auditors, others are using supreme audit institutions, others are using their procurement regulatory authorities, all of which are acceptable to the bank as long as the audits are meeting the minimum requirements as per the terms of reference created by the bank. So, and on the other DERA on progress reports, there are quite a few challenges under that DERA. Most of the institutions are not conversant on what has to go into the progress report because there is no standard template for that. So what we have agreed is that from the country procurement specialists to discuss and agree on a uniform format which we will share with the rest of the institutions for preparation of progress report. The progress reports are very important to highlight it because they one is it's a project management tool, a monitoring tool to enable management of the institutions to make decisions whenever necessary, to be aware of the status, if there are delays, and how management can intervene to address those delays. Similarly, the bank, once the reports are submitted to us, we also see the progress, but also see how best we can support government to move with procurements and achieve the objective of the project. So that is one key area where we agreed that although the bank requires them biannually, but those have to be prepared at least monthly and submitted to the management, not necessarily submitted to the bank, but to their own management, because other institutions reported that the other management teams in the implementation of the projects are not aware of what is happening under procurement. So we recommended that those progress reports are prepared monthly and submitted to management as part of the normal reports that management requests from each of the sectors in their structure. But for the bank, we require them at least biannually for the purposes of the DERA. But you can still submit at any time you want if there are any issues that you want to discuss with the bank at length. But during missions like this, we always request that the institutions should submit procurement plan implementation status reports for us to appreciate how by the time we have a mission, how procurements are progressing. If there are any challenges, we should discuss them and find the solutions or way forward in order to mitigate any potential delays or cost overruns, or if there are contracts that are ongoing, claims for additional time or additional cost. So that was in the major area. So we have also indicated to them that there is no consistency. What we have identified, there's no consistency in submission of annual procurement plans. It's a requirement. If you are to submit a procurement audit or a procurement progress report, all those come from annual procurement plans. So you are auditing what was indicated in the plans, how it has been done, if it has been done according to what was agreed. So other institutions are submitting the annual procurement plans to their details, country details, others are not. So I hope we will now be consistent in terms of that once the annual work plans and budgets are developed, and we extract whatever is procurable and put in the annual procurement plan, which should be submitted to the bank for review and the clearance. And once you start implementing, you are able to report on an approved procurement plan, but also you are audited against annual procurement plan. I talked about the progress reports from the part. There were each institution had we had during assessment we had put in mitigation measures against the identified risks at the time of preparation of the project. So the other aspect that has to go into the progress report is how you are addressing those risks. So the risk was the record keeping. How are you? How have you addressed that? What kind of improvements have been done? And all the other risks that were identified in the part, they have to be reported on in the progress reports. The aim is that we need to move. We can't have a risk rating from project preparation up to project completion. It means some of the mitigation measures that were put in the part should have been implemented. And if we are not reporting on them, it will be difficult for us to revise the risk rating. We need to revise this risk rating to show that we are indeed making progress in terms of capacity, in terms of how well we are undertaking our procurements. If it was the risk rating was substantial, it shouldn't remain substantial all through the project life. Because even our management from the procurement side will say, what are you doing to address these risks that enable you to rate the project as substantial? It means we have to move, at least from substantial, we have to move to moderate, even to low risk. But that has to come from the reports that you have to be preparing. Unfortunately, there are different times of submission of these audit reports. Others have submitted the audit reports. Others are in the course of preparation of the audit reports. But what we encouraged, especially from other entities, is to review the mode of carrying out the audit and see which one is efficient. Because we saw that other institutions were complaining that the reports were not to the standard that it can be approved as a procurement audit report. And if we encouraged them at least to use their procurement authorities to ensure that because those are the ones that have got capacity to carry out a procurement audit because they regulate the procurement itself. So those were the major highlights. But because the institutions, I mean, I cannot be going to each and every institution what was find out, but in summary, that is that different issues, but mostly is concerning one important thing which I forgot. Sorry, is the issue of delays. Most institutions that was cutting across almost all the institutions is delays in processing procurements through the country systems. It seems there are a lot of layers in terms of approvals of the procurement processes through the government systems. It seems it's in every country where we're having these kind of challenges. So as the procurement cadre will also see how best we can interact with each government and see how we can streamline those reviews to avert the delays that the institutions are encountering in carrying out procurement processes. As I mean, some takes 4-6 months before they get approvals from wherever the approval has to come from, depending on the country. So we can't afford to lose such kind of time in project implementation. Otherwise, it will delay the whole project, and we might not achieve the project development objective. So we also engage with the country procurement specialists from the bank side on how best they can liaise with the government entities responsible for clearances of procurement processes and come up with a solution in terms of how best we can streamline their process. We are not saying they shouldn't have that oversight facility function, but the function should not delay the processes per se, because in any case the project has got life, so we have to operate within that life of the project. That one was the major challenge that we noted from the presentations from the institutions. Yeah, thank you. I can stop there, Roberta. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony, for very elaborate presentation. I'm sure there'll be questions from the audience. So I invite Essence to ask you 1 or 2 questions before we move to the next presenter. Just to follow up from what Anton presented. It seems we don't have any questions. In this case, I invite
Jonathan, I have one question. Can I go ahead?
Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'm Bob speaking from Harama University. My question is on the DLRs that have not been utilized or achieved because of different reasons. Some DLRs were supposed to be achieved year by year, like the finance and procurement DLRs. So because of different reasons, those DLRs, some of those DLRs have not been achieved so far. My question is just, is there a way of retroactive achievement of those DLRs, or is it a missed opportunity? I just want to know what is the fate of those DLRs that have not been achieved. For example, the procurement DLRs, which were supposed to be achieved every year, and we didn't achieve them because of different reasons. Thank you.
Anthony, can you respond to the question?
I'm not sure if you can get a response now, but if you read the DRR itself, it indicates timely, timely submission of the procurement audit. There is the timely submission of timely procurement audit for each timely and satisfactory progress reports. So I don't know if you had the implemented activities in say in 2018 and you do the audit in 2021, if you call that timely procurement audit, because it's just not the audit itself, but the DRR also indicates timely. But I will leave it to the TTLs, to the country TTLs, probably to interpret correctly that. But from the description of the DRRs, the timely part, if it is not achieved, it means you have missed the DRR. But I can't be conclusive on that. The communication can come from the TTLs. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. There's one TTL who is ready to say something. Kaboko.
At the details.
Timely withdrawal.
Timely withdrawal.
Timely
Procurement.
Procurement, yes. Timely procurement.
Kaboko, please, are you going to say something?
Jonathan, can I come in quickly just on that?
Yes, go ahead, yes.
Okay, thanks. So I think that's an important question and something that also did come up in one of the one-on-ones as well. So for ACEs that did miss a year of achieving one of these two DLIs on fiduciary, either on procurement or FM side, I think with the extension of the project by 1 year, we have an opportunity to make that up during that last year. Right. So we haven't increased allocations for this DLI, the overall allocations for the DLI, which means you get one more opportunity to achieve this DLI and claim the financing against that achievement for the last year of implementation. So you do have an opportunity to earn a DLI that may have been missed. But again, I think the definition of the DLI would remain the same in terms of timely. So you have an opportunity to do that if it was missed earlier in the project, to do that closer to the end of the project and meet it for that year, you would be able to claim the funds.
Yeah, thank you very much, Uma. There's another question from Wise Futures. Liza and Tim.
Yes, Jonathan, this is Hans. I think Uma kind of answered what I wanted to raise, because my concern was that it's likely that some DLI will not be realized, even though the problem was not the ACEs themselves, especially the timeliness. Secondly, I thought we changed it in that aspect of timeliness of was dropped. So
you disappeared. You seem not to have concluded your question, right?
I disappeared. Okay.
Yeah.
You can hear me now.
Yeah, sure.
I was saying that I thought we changed the issue in the midterm. We revised that issue of timeliness, but I think Uma mentioned something about it. But my concern also was like, if we don't change this, and the problem was not entirely for the centers, then that DLI will not be fully complete. So what will happen to money that is in that bucket?
Yeah, thank you. I think we dropped to one DLI 2.1 for timely achievement of results. So that was comprehensive for all. But this one timely is specific for procurement processes, I think. Unless Anthony, I'm trying to encroach your area.
So let me come back on that quickly as well. So the DLIs for procurement and financial management were not changed at project restructuring. That's not a discussion we had either. The timeliness actually had to do with, as Jonathan said, on 2.1, which was, I think, the student enrollment DLIs. So it wasn't this one. And the one we dropped was actually the annual work plans. I think that's what you're talking about. And yes, that was dropped and the money was reallocated. But for the financial management and procurement DLIs, we actually didn't drop this requirement because the entire point was to make sure that you have adequate fiduciary controls and performance, and that you're improving this for your ACEs. I do know for the case of Ethiopia, where there is a bit of a challenge because the university has audit observations from a decade ago, which have not been resolved. So having them achieve a 70% target for addressing audit observations is not realistic or reasonable. So that was amended. But Ethiopia is the only one who brought up this issue. Otherwise, as Anthony also mentioned, when you do have audit observations, or when you do, at the end of a year, it makes sense to complete the audit and look at what the issues are within the next year. If you do it 3-4 years from then it becomes almost a pointless exercise. And it's an important sort of fiduciary indicator as well to do this in a timely manner. So that is still preserved. However, if you were not able to achieve it, say for financial year 2018, 2019, then you do have an opportunity to claim that DLI by achieving the target and the final year of project implementation, right? So the money is not going to be taken away. You do have another opportunity to achieve it in the next financial year.
Very clear. Thank you very much. I think we stop this discussion now. We move to the discussion on financial management. We'll get feedback from Josephine.
Hi, Jonathan. So Josephine is in another mission and cannot join, but I got all the information from Josephine. I summarized in the PowerPoint. So if I may, I can share my screen and share her feedback. Is that okay?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Let me see if you Okay. So first of all, this overall performance of the financial management by country is that 4 countries, Ethiopia, Kenya, Zambia, and Tanzania are moderately satisfactory. And then Rwanda, Zambia, Rwanda, Malawi, Mozambique are satisfactory status for the financial management rating for this period. And I'm just going to go country by country to just show what their status and then also the challenges identified. So for Ethiopia, it was rated as a moderately satisfactory. And financial management system itself, Addis Ababa University is working well, but the SABC under Haramaya University needs a little more support by the university management to bring back the FM in track. And all centers are actually struggling to achieve the DLI 3.3, which is related to addressing 70% of the audit findings of the host universities, and also having a functioning internal audit functions, respectively. And then the centers under AAU are making efforts to achieve the results in internal audit reviews by working closely with the host university. So the FM colleagues think that they can probably achieve this very soon. But the DLI 3.2 is very difficult to achieve at the center level as the audit findings of the host universities cannot be resolved within the scope of the project. So they are thinking that we should probably do the restructuring of this DLI for Ethiopia so that the money can be dispersed. For Rwanda, the performance was satisfactory. And then for the financial management, it's functioning well for all the 4 centers. And all the reports have been submitted on time. And the main challenge is that ensuring that the recommendations by the Office of Audit General and internal auditors are implemented in a timely manner and do not reoccur in subsequent reports. But the management has already committed to ensuring that this close follow-up and implementation shall be done. So the FM colleague is thinking that it will be okay. For Kenya, whose rating was moderately satisfactory, for the financial management part, 3 ACEs are complying with the financial reporting covenants and all are functioning well. And all 3 ACEs fully met the all FM DLRs. And the main issue is the fund flow due to the delayed completion of restructuring and also inadequate budget provisions. And only more university had adequate own source of funds. But the bank FM specialist is following up with the MOE on the budget issue as they requested additional budget allocation. So they'll keep on following up and see whether the fund flow issue can be resolved. And actually, I also contacted with the ACE centers in Kenya, but sorry, that was a procurement. Sorry, this is fine. For the status of Zambia, it's a moderately satisfactory, and the financial management system is all functioning well in both ACEs. University of Zambia had challenges in funds flow due to the requirement for funds sitting in designated account at the Bank of Zambia to be routed through the control 99, which is in the government accounts. And then also they had experience in delays and verification of DRs due to the need for various committees to sit and approve the same. And the Copperbelt University had challenges in meeting DLRs related to student exchanges due to the COVID-19. This led to low postgraduate student enrollment, failure to undertake most of the planned faculty and staff exchanges, and reduced research activities. And then the center, however, made some progress and will be submitting DRR's data for verification in the next call. So I hope there will be increase in the disbursement for CBU next time. Well, Malawi, it's satisfactory, and the FM is functioning well in both cases. The main challenge is the delayed sharing of reports and confirming the functioning of both internal audit and audit committee of the boards. And the further challenges for FY20 was the failure of the audit committees to meet and discuss the audit reports, because I think the board has been dissolved, but the boards are now in place and efforts are underway to convene and discuss audit reports. So I think it will be okay in the coming days. In Tanzania, it's a moderately satisfactory. For the financial management, all centers have adequate financial systems and it's working well. I think there's the major bottleneck in the disbursement procedures within the country with the launch of the new disbursement protocol and a financial management system by the Ministry of Finance and Planning, known as a D Fund. All projects are required to register and upload disbursement requests to MOFB for approval before reporting in client connection. And this just delayed the disbursement. And the new procedure have resulted in reimbursement requests to be delayed, and the centers are running out of funds to continue with operations as per planned work plans. However, no major challenges achieving DLIs are identified. And Mozambique is a satisfactory. FM is functioning well. The main challenge is the lack of clarity on the required documents to fulfill the DLRs 3.2 and 3.3. But the university is using the Department of Internal Control to conduct the role of an audit committee as described in the PAT, and then present necessary evidences. So I hope they can achieve the DRRs soon. So these are the status by countries. And then if anyone has any questions, you can let us know, and then I can liaise that to the financial management colleagues. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sauri, for representing Josephine so well. Now, I invite questions from ESSES, if any. There's one question from, let me check, from, oh, this is not a question. Kaboko, are you still trying to ask something? So Kaboko is not responding, and I don't see any other questions from ESSES. Yes, Kaboko. Are you muted? Okay, let me call upon the next group, which is feedback from environmental or social development sessions. And Sauri, are you going to lead this session?
Yes, unfortunately, like our colleague again is like not available, but I remember that Dixon summarized the implementation status of ESMP, which was really good to share. So I don't know if Dixon can share that the activities done by ACES on the ESMP implementation, because I think it's a good activities to share, and then also perhaps the status of how they're implementing. Yeah, sorry for just suddenly asking you, Dixon, but
okay.
I thought the report was good.
Dixon, you had a very good report yesterday. I saw that matrix where you presented how centers are responding and the issues that were raised for social and the environmental issues. So if you're ready, can you share your screen? Let me confirm from Kaboko. Kaboko, do you want to say something? If not, then Dixon, go ahead with your presentation. Let me know if Dixon is on.
Yes, I am on. I'm going to share my screenshot.
Okay, good.
And Dixon, I have your report right now. So if you want me to, I can also share.
Okay, you can share. It's okay.
Okay. Can you see?
Yes, I can see.
Yeah. This is the activity conducted by ACES on the environmental social safeguards. So Dixon, if you can kind of
Yes,
present to you.
Yeah, thanks. We received the reports from ACES, and we tried to pick out some summaries of what was reported. And rehabilitation or construction activities, we got feedback from 5 ACES. Renovation works in Zambia for the hostel, study room, and office. Rehabilitation works for the laboratories, and then there was a networking or fixing of ICT equipment, which was leading to noise in one of the ACES in Rwanda. Then there was installation of video conferences and smart classroom facilities that was also associated with the noise, and then some construction work of incubation centers at CREATES. Okay. Mitigation measures that were undertaken generally, we didn't now do this by center, but we just tried to make summaries. So one, there were safety rules and facilities in place to be strictly followed by the team that were working. The surroundings were kept free of debris to minimize dust. Protective gears were given to workers, and then the fire extinguisher was fixed with hydrants to mitigate against fire-related disaster. The other focus of their mitigation efforts was on controlling the air quality. So dust was suppressed by spraying water, installing dust screen enclosures at site. There was also evidence of regularly serviced vehicles on site. Demolition of debris were controlled. The environment was kept free from dust. The other focus was on controlling noise. Construction schedule was followed. There was a noise management plan. From some of the centers, works were restricted to times that were agreed upon as per the permit that they were given. Noise was also controlled by keeping away mechanical equipment far away from residential areas. Okay. Then there were issues of water quality. There was a water resource protection plan in place. This was, I think, reported by one of the ACES. Then waste management, there were records of waste disposal in place. Waste collection and disposal pathways and were also clearly identified, and waste management plan. Waste were also well collected during the construction works. Okay, can move to the next. Then the other area was toxic materials. These were medical waste. There were things to do with the management of asbestos. So mitigation measures undertaken, there were there was incinerators, availability of special facilities to segregate waste. There were appropriate storage facilities also on site. There were infrastructure for waste handling and disposal, sharp, special, puncture-resistant containers, domestic waste were all put in place. Then presence of sealed asbestos containers, availability of a management plan was also reported. Further, there were also containers that were labeled, availability of licensed waste handlers. I think this was reported by 3 S's. There were trainings conducted on biosafety and biosecurity. High temperature combustion incinerator was also in place. Workers' personal protective equipment were also available in line with international practice. All work was conducted in class 2 biosafety level cabinet. Okay. Then there was the issue of water treatment system. I think this was reported by SACID. And so they mitigated it by, before the water is discharged into the receiving waters, they were treated in order to meet the minimum quality criteria set out by national guidelines. The other thing was, again, the workers who were working at these plants had protective gears. Okay, I think that is all that we were able to summarize. And again, from the report, like we indicated on the one-on-one session, we also observed that out of the 17 reports that we received, what we presented is a summary from 10 of the reports from ACES because of the way they were documented. So I think it came out in the M&E feedback. The ACES are requesting for a standard for a customized reporting format to guide the way they report. So I think we've taken note of that, and we will work on improving this. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dixon and Sauri, for a very good presentation. I want to ask people to ask questions if there are any follow-up questions. I see Kaboko is still having his hand up. I don't know. Kaboko, are you still there? So what is the plan, Dixon, for those who have not submitted their reports?
We are following up, and we are also requesting those who have not submitted to please do so. And when you need any support, please feel free to get in touch. We will try and engage and get these reports done together. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. If not, then I want to invite.
Can I come in?
Yes, Dube.
Yes, thank you very much. My colleague sent her apologies. She's unable to join, and I joined, I think, well ahead. I think on time in terms of the presentation that was just made. So I have just one question for all the activities that were listed, sort of these minor. I know they are minor civil works activities, the rehabilitations and the construction. So I wanted to find out whether, what instruments are they in place to manage the environmental and social risks? Are they doing ESMPs? I know that there are ESMPs for each university. I think I've seen those. But my question is then for the contractors, are the contractors preparing ESMPs as well? If so, I mean, we haven't really seen any submission from the team as yet. So it would be good if the colleagues can share with us, you know, the sort of the instruments that are used by the contractors to manage the environmental and social risk, so that we can provide our input as well. Because I know the risk may be low, but we need to be appraised in terms of, you know, the environmental and social management instruments that are in place. Then lastly, I know I don't want to repeat about the GRM because we exhausted that discussion yesterday, but I just want to quickly show you the standard reporting templates. Not everything applies for the project, but I hope you can see. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, it can be seen. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm happy to work with the colleagues there to sort of, you know, help have a standard reporting template for the institution. So this is our basic requirements, but they need to be sort of adapted to project specific conditions. So ideally, there should be, you know, a report about, well, there should be a separate section on environmental and social risk management. Ideally, it can be called a safeguard section inside the report, where, you know, each university can then, or each ACA can then sort of summarize the environmental social safeguard activities. So ideally, I think what is important is for us to, you know, understand if there's any screening and ESMPs developed. That's exactly what I was highlighting just now, that we need just a summary of, okay, if there's a new construction happening, or has then screening be done, and there's all ESMPs be done, and then were they sort of shared with the bank for either post or prior review. We usually do post review for very low to moderate risk, which I think most of your projects fall under. And then maybe a description in terms of if those plans have been developed, what are some of the issues I think during the implementation period in terms of any challenges that the specific sub-project might have encountered. Let's say the rehabilitation work, were there any, you know, issues with compliance with the ESMPs, like for example, the COVID mitigation measures, were they properly implemented, or have there been issues with labor, sort of issues that may arise maybe from the workers, or I mean, anything that you know is in the ESMP that the team might want to flag to us. And then I'm re-emphasizing if there are any, this might not apply because you know, there's no GBV action plan for this project, but the grievance redress mechanism, of course, we discussed this at length, that we need this to be updated, and we need an update in terms of, you know, the grievance redress mechanism, the functionality, particularly on these issues like you know, how many grievances have been resolved, and are there any pending, and, you know, what are the status, the summary of exactly like what you guys have shared with us yesterday, which is very good. And if there are any stakeholder engagement activities that would have happened during the reporting period, that can also be included in the report if applicable, like if there have been any consultations about the project, you know, something that falls squarely under safeguard. Importantly is if there are any incidents, as I mentioned yesterday, we request that any incidents needs to be notified. We need to be notified. You notify the TTL within 48 hours. This can be accidents on construction sites. This can be GBV, sexual harassment incidents. Please just notify Saori, and then she will take it up from there. We'll work with her to ensure that we prepare an incident reports as per the bank requirement. So this is just briefly, I'm happy to work with the team to sort of see what applies and what doesn't apply, but I thought I should just mention this, and also seek clarity on the management of contractors, what instruments they are using. Over. That's all my presentation.
Thank you very much. There was one question from the chat. Is it possible for you to share this template from Luis, I think? Are you ready to share this template?
Yes, I will share, but as I've mentioned, not everything applies, so it needs to be adapted to, to the specific project circumstances. But I'll definitely share with Saur, and then she will forward to the rest of the team.
All right, thank you. So I don't have any question except this permanent. Kaboko, are you there? Okay, thank you very much. Now, Dixon, are you going to make your presentation on the feedback from M&E session?
Yes.
Right.
Thank you so much. This is a very brief one. So this is just reminding us about our mandate to collect and aggregate reports from ACES to support M&E activities, to standardize procedures for monitoring, to conduct evaluation of programs offered by ACES and other studies, and disseminate findings. Which reports do we collect? The first one is the result framework updates reports that we get every 6 months. And the intention is to track progress towards achievement of project development objective. The other report that we also get is the PowerPoint summary report, which is received biannually. It's just an update from the ACES. This is more flexible. It allows ACES to share as much as possible, and this is also done every 6 months. The other report that we keep track of is the reports on DLIs, disbursement link indicators, where we track achievements of DLIs. Basically, we track disbursement and verification. This happens at least once a year, depending on the DLI. The other report is what we've just been talking about, environmental and social safeguard reports. These are basically implementation updates on the ESMP and then the grievance redress mechanism. This comes in every 6 months. We also collect annual work plans, procurement plans, staff development plan, largely to monitor alignment of activities and outputs with the priorities. This is done annually. Yeah, I thought I should also just briefly share the status of reporting. And on the result framework, updates on the result framework, you can see summary by country, number of ACEs, ACEs with complete reports, ACEs with partial reports, ACEs that have not been very responsive. So overall, when you check under the highlights, 18 ACEs have fully reported. We have complete reports from 18 ACEs, that is up to end of May. 4 ACEs have partial reports. 2 ACEs have not yet responded. And overall, 4 countries have 100% reporting. ACEs from 4 countries, that is Rwanda, Kenya, and Zambia, and Mozambique. And I think, yeah, so that is as far as the status of result framework update reports that come in every 6 months. The PowerPoint report that we also receive every 6 months, as of end of May, we also requested partner ACEs to submit. 17 ACEs responded, 7 are yet to respond, and 3 countries, ACEs from 3 countries have fully responded. Okay, the next is environmental and social safeguard reports. Again, 17 ACEs have responded and shared with us reports. 7 ACEs did not share with us, and 3 countries have fully submitted. These ACEs from 3 countries have fully submitted their reports on this. Annual work plan for 2022. This in this case, this is applicable to 17 ACEs because Mozambique, Tanzania, and Zambia use calendar years. So they submitted early on. So we have all those annual work plans that, so out of this, we have 4 ACEs that are yet to submit the annual work plans. I've just indicated 7 ACEs use a calendar year, so they are not in this. So overall, 13 out of the 17 have given us the annual work plan. 9 out of the 17 have given us their procurement plan, and we have received staff development plan from 7 ACEs out of the 17. In 2021, just out of the 24, 23 gave us the annual work plan, 21 gave us the procurement plan, and 15 gave us the staff development plan. So when you look at, in terms of compliance, reporting compliance, I think Rwanda has done quite, Rwanda has fully complied. Rwanda and Zambia has also stepped up. I think the visit by Dr. Jonathan and Agnes to Zambia really improved things in terms of reporting and gave confidence to the team. And the other one is, yes, Mozambique has also been doing well in terms of compliance to reporting. Yes, now I can run to the feedback session that we had yesterday and the other day. The objective was basically to review implementation of M&E activities at the ACEs, looking at data collection, processing, reporting, and data use. The targets, we expected all ACEs to participate. 19 out of the 24 participated, 5 did not. We are not aware of the reason yet, but we are happy to meet the team. So issues noted during the feedback session. One of the issues that came up from one of the ACEs was that we need to harmonize our reporting tool, the result framework reporting template with the Technopolis data collection templates. Yeah, our response was, these are kind of different processes. And the questionnaire that Technopolis team gives out it's actually an independent process, and we wouldn't want to so much interfere with that, but also the need for the result framework indicator report is different. And as Sauri yesterday mentioned, this is the basis upon which the project will be evaluated at the end of the day. The second issue that came up was a customized environmental and social safeguard reporting template. I think this has been partially discussed already in the presentation. The other thing that came up was we need to orient GRN focal person to ease data collection and reporting. I think the environmental team will take note of that. And the other thing was the questionnaire sent out by Technopolis referred to all respondents as students. So members said consideration needs to be made to cater for non-student respondent. I think there was some discomfort from the team. The other one was organize separate M&E meeting to review and discuss reporting issues. This is under consideration. And then there was a concern that while the World Bank promptly approves withdrawal application, there are delays being experienced at Ministry of Finance level. I think I missed out I couldn't pick out the exact essay that brought out this. So the country is not so clear. Then there was specific feedback on the M&E portal. One of them is that there is now, it has eased reporting as you only report what has been achieved, newly achieved every 6 months. Yeah, I think that's good to note. The other one is since it is online, the M&E, the data is online, it has minimized discrepancy in data being reported by the different stakeholders. This is, I think the person who brought out this was saying ACES would have different data sometime, and the data reported at ICEA and the World Bank would be conflicting. This is also good to note, and we encourage all all ACEs to ensure that they update their reports online. Then update the M&E portal, the due status for reports already submitted still. So some members also raised this, that some of the reports have been submitted, but the status still indicates due. So I think we will take this up and validate all reports that are online and provide all the updates. Access to M&E portal be granted to World Bank country team. I think this came from one of the ACEs in Tanzania. I think we will get in touch with the team and that will be addressed. Then there was an issue, this is not under the M&E portal, that with the project extension, targets needs to be reviewed because some indicators do not have targets beyond the closure time. So this will also be discussed and feedback given. Generally, I would also like to share some notes on reporting issues generally that we've noted from the reports we've been receiving. One, cumulative status in the result framework reports does not match the status in some of the PowerPoint reports that I will receive from the ACEs. For the May reporting, we received 19 reports from ACEs. 9 of the reports, when you try to look at the reports in the system, the cumulative report in the system, and the figures being reported in the PowerPoint summary report, you see some discrepancy. So I think we need to take note of that. The other one is timeliness in reporting. 47% of the reports, result framework reports that were submitted on time, end of May, which was higher than the 32% in the previous round of reporting. I think this is good. Maybe in the previous round, members were still getting used to the online reporting system. Out of the 19 reports we received, 18 were submitted directly into the system. This is another good improvement. For the PowerPoint and the environmental social safeguard reports, 47% were submitted on time. We actually track reports submitted by date. So each time a report lands into our system, we take note of the date and we update our tracker. The other issue that I request that I'd like to share is a significantly high difference between self-reported and verified data. Yeah, this is noted in about 3 to 5 ACEs. For example, there is an ACE that has 93 students verified and 617 self-reported in the biannual reports. And 414 of these were achieved in year 1 and 2. So this creates some discomfort when we look at this data. So we begin to ask many questions. So I think we need to pay attention to our data. The other one is, I also saw an ACE with a target of accrediting 100 programs. And their reports shows that they have accredited 44. And so when I went into the PowerPoint report, I couldn't get a clear number in terms of target and in terms of programs accredited. So again, this is a red flag when we look at this kind of data. So again, we need to pay some attention to our data. Yes, and then normally when you see when the data quality issues, that normally indicates that possibly the data is not being discussed and used at center level. So that is what sometimes that it could be meaning. The other thing that we noted from the PowerPoint reports that a progress towards achievement of key project outputs is hard to conclusively track based on the reports without leaving out some very critical efforts by ACEs. So in the current round of reporting, we adopted the use of a matrix as an annex to the PowerPoint report, which was a lesson from the African Centers for for water management in Ethiopia. I think they've done quite well. When they present all their progress, at the end, they tie it up with a matrix detailing all the deliverables and the status. So you can easily follow and know what has been achieved, what is outstanding, so this is an area where we need to take note and see how we can improve on it. Then this other point of submission of reports for the sake of compliance. I think when you read through reports submitted, you can tell that some of the reports are have some gaps. And in this round, we noted so much with environmental and social safeguard reports. So we request that when you have some challenges with these reports, please get in touch so that we work around it and get something meaningful. Yes, basically these are some of the key things. And so I decided to share one of this sample mapping of PDO indicator number 4. I noticed the M&E officers are having some challenges, especially in the PDO4 indicator accreditation. Why? Because you'll find a course is being national accredited and the same course was targeted to be accredited at regional level. So at the end of the day, all these are counted independently and it causes a bit of problem in our figures that we track. So this is just a simple way that maybe you can sit down with the center leader or any other person who is technical in higher education within your center, and then you map out this for ease of counting. Then there's the implementation status metrics, the one I spoke about. I've also put this here because what we received, some were really well done, some had issues. Yeah, we try to analyze the data and present, but I think there were a bit of challenges. So this is just also a sample. My presentation will be shared and so you can look at it and see how you can present your data. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Dixon. This is a very good summary of the outcome of the discussion. One thing to note here is that this is an ongoing process and therefore we invite SS and especially monitoring and evaluation officers to interact with Dixon as much as possible. He's trying to make life very easy for us, but also for SS, and therefore the templates, the formats that he is recommending are quite useful for facilitation of data collection, but also tracking our progress. So thank you very much, Dixon. And with this, I want to stop here unless I have questions. I received questions from SS. There's one announcement I want to make from Kaboko for Tanzania. It says that the challenges for disbursements are resolved by the Ministry of Finance in Tanzania. Submission from Wise Futures and the Creates have been approved. And the submission from SACIDS and the Innovative Rodent Pest Management is their submission are in process. So soon they will also get feedback from Minister of Finance. I hope they're still here to take note of the progress. Otherwise, I want to stop here and I want to now invite Uma to make a summary for the next steps.
Hey, Jonathan, I see one more question from Adeboa on the staff development plan, which he said it seems to be a new requirement.
Is it a new requirement? Is it in the chat? Yeah.
Yes.
Can you say it once for one sentence? Is it a new requirement, or we used to collect this information from the beginning? I think. Dixon.
Yes, I think this is not a new requirement. I just noticed that the ACEs in Ethiopia have not been submitting this even from the previous year. But like I indicated, in the last financial year, 15 ACEs submitted out of the 24.
So it's not a new requirement. In short, it is a requirement that we have been trying to track for a long time.
Sorry, Jonathan, and we highlight that requirement in the no objection letters that we send along with the annual work plan, so it should be mentioned. So we have been collecting that information from a few years now.
Yeah, sure. So our colleagues from Ethiopia, take note and now prepare yourself to present such reports for staff development. So Huma, if you're ready, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jonathan. And what we're going to do is just close. I'm going to close on behalf of Roberta and the World Bank team as well. So then you can formally go and close the TAM for this time around. Let me start by really thanking all of the ACEs and also IUCA for very active participation and also IUCA for organizing a very rich discussion. You would have seen some changes in this TAM with introduction of some new ways for us to discuss issues, but also to sort of motivate us to go into the next phase of our project, where we're moving the discussion along to things like commercialization of research, to developing these academic networks, and finally also making very good progress on the international accreditation aspects. So thank you very much for organizing these, but then also thank you very much for participation. Very productive discussions through all of the breakout sessions as well, which we're really appreciative of, and also in the one-on-ones that we've had so far. Just to note, as we move these discussions, one thing that we would like to concentrate more on going forward, and this is sort of an internal next step for all of the stakeholders, for the ACEs, for IUCA, and also for the World Bank, to think more deliberately about sustainability of outcomes of what we've worked on under the ACE project over the last several years. And when we talk about sustainability, we're talking about sustainability in two ways. On the financial side, and in the project, we promote that through external revenue generation, through building partnerships, and I think more needs to be done on links with the private sector, and perhaps we can sort of shift some focus towards that going forward. But then also importantly, sustainability on the institutional side as well. And this is something in the one-on-ones that came up as well, but let's talk about how the bank can also support the ACEs to really find a permanent space in the university structures, in the governance structures, in your institutions, as well as your countries. There's already a lot of recognition of the good work that's taking place under the ACEs, but let's really take the remainder of the project to make sure that we institutionalize these centers within our formal structures. And the bank is able to help in many countries on this, because we do have sort of wider engagements with the ministries of education, the departments of higher education, and investments in the higher education sector, for instance, in Mozambique and Tanzania, to take two examples, and now recently approved for Malawi as well. So we have these wider engagements as well, and we can use that to dialogue with the respective ministries of education to make sure that these actions that would facilitate sort of institutional sustainability of the ACEs are taking place. So that's one thing for me in terms of next steps or the way forward that's going to be important, and really shifting our discussions to that topic. Also, our next steps, we do have a regional steering committee meeting that's scheduled for next week. And I think the RSC is making an effort to organize themselves and in a way that they're able to provide stronger support to the ACEs. And we are looking at a permanent chair for the regional steering committee who would have more continuity in terms of looking at the implementation of agreements or having a more strategic vision for the ACEs and looking at what needs to be done to support the ACEs in a more meaningful manner. So we're looking forward to those discussions as well. So let me close then by saying thank you very much. Let's keep the conversation going. And as Roberta mentioned earlier as well, we are always available to you. We have a larger sort of elaborate structure with the regional team, Roberta, myself, Malshri, and Sauri, but also country teams who have country TTLs, and you're familiar with all of them, and fiduciary and safeguard staff at the country level who are able to support you. So please feel free to reach out to all of us, any of us at any time, and we remain fully available to support you in any way we can. Let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Uma, for closing this discussion today. And I would like to thank everybody for attending this meeting. This meeting has been very useful because we have seen that our efforts are maturing. We've got good results coming from essays, as evidence from your presentations, but also as evidences by students who presented today, one today and the other two the other days. We are glad that all that we are doing is also imparted onto students, which is, I think, is a good thing. We want to also give special thanks to members of the Regional Steering Committee who attended this meeting. Some of the issues that are policy and strategic in nature will be carried forward to the meeting of the Regional Steering Committee. I'm sure they're going to provide the proper guidance as to how this project is to go from here. So I want to stop here on behalf of IUCEA and on behalf of my colleague Agnes, Benny, Alvin, to thank you once again for your participation. Thank you very much, and have a good day, and let's meet again when next offered.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks for everything.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye, Jonathan.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, 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 Jonathan. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Bye, Jonathan.